veterans up here on the panel. We have Corinne, Jamie, and Sharlene. I just wanted to say first, thank you guys. Generally, this has been an incredible opportunity just to be able to do outreach for veterans and show our support. There are resources in the back. We have RC information, some swag over there, and then always our memorial table. So I just wanted to say thank you guys again, and we'll go ahead and get started. I'm grabbing this chair. All right. And we will have time for questions at the end. So if anyone wants to ask anything or just general conversation about mental health, so whatever you're comfortable with asking, things like that. So to get started, let's talk. If you guys would like to do just a general introduction, your name, and then kind of the position you're in now and what you're doing currently. Start, Sharlene?
Yes. I'm Sharlene Gamble. I am a veteran of the Marine Corps. I stayed in for 4 years. I left as a corporal. And right now I'm in between jobs. I'm currently going through a recovery program here in Fort Thomas. And thank you for allowing me to be here.
Yeah, and we're excited for your possible future as CPRS. Like genuinely, your support has been amazing just with me, so thank you. All right, we'll hop over.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jamie White. I am a veteran of the U.S. Air Force. I spent 10 years in the Air Force, and I'm currently working in the Voluntary Service Department at the Cincinnati VA Medical Center.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Corinne Zimmer Frankenhoff. It didn't fit on the thing, so, but I am also United States Air Force, and I'm retired. I did 21 years, and while I was in, I did IT.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah. And, oh, and then I just graduated with my master's in social work, and so. Thank you. So I am taking the summer off to celebrate. So that's where I'm at right now.
Beautiful, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. All right, so guys, first question. How did your time serving in the U.S. military influence your motivation to support others? So just kind of a little bit like with your history, how does it make you the person you are today? Guys, anyone can start with whoever wants to start.
Okay, I'll start then. So I did write everything down because I can get a little long-winded, and I didn't want to get too many of the eyes from her. So bear with me as I do a little bit of reading. But as I stated earlier, I did graduate with my master's in social work, and I've always been a supporter of others. Some days I was better at it than other days, and I've definitely gave me a unique advantage. You know, you meet a lot of social workers, you meet a lot of male veterans, but you don't meet a whole lot, even though there are 2 on this table, but you don't meet a whole lot of female veteran social workers. And I feel like that had, oh, is that my time already?
You're good.
But I think it gave me a unique perspective that can be helpful for others. And so so that's, I mean, literally why I'm here, sitting in this seat, is because I want to be able to continue that same type of support and do it in any way that I can.
We're excited to see your future as a social worker, so you gotta keep us posted, absolutely.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, Amy, would you like to continue? Kind of why your military background made you the person you are today?
Yeah, so I've always struggled with depression growing up from childhood stuff, but when I was in Afghanistan in 2009-2010, I was deployed to Kandahar, and I was deployed to Kandahar was an R&R base where kind of the troops that were on the front lines came to kind of make those phone calls home, play a video game, play pool, or just go to the chow hall and take some time for themselves. And I remember walking around base, and I was looking at these troops that were there just to kind of take a few days off and before they had to go back out and fight. And to me, they were mentally not there. They were mentally checked out, and I was wondering what had they seen out there, because I was safe on the base at the R&R base. They wouldn't let me go off base, and for me, it was kind of like a wow, like what is going on out there? I want to know more about what these people are going through that are fighting for more than I'm fighting for our country. And that's actually why I have my bachelor's in social work, and that's why I got into social work, because when I came home and I got out of the military in 2012, I went to school here at UC And I decided I was going to get into military social work. I wanted to help our veterans that were struggling with their mental health because of what they had gone through on those front lines. And that kind of molded me into where I am. I did start the military social work program at the University of Southern California. Unfortunately, while I was going through that program, my mother passed away, and my mental health took a severe dive. I did not get to finish that program, which is why I now work at the VA. So I'm back helping veterans. I'm happy about that. I may go back into military social work, but that is why I am kind of on that path. When I was in Afghanistan, I also was a SARC, which is a sexual assault response coordinator. So I did have to respond to some of those awful calls that I got. It was not easy, but that is another thing that I did help with out there that helped me get into social work and helping others with their mental health struggles that I was going through as well. So
yeah, that lived experience piece, and thank you for talking about it. And that discussion and just starting the conversation is so important. So thank you.
yes, ma'am.
All right, Sharlene, how did the military kind of define who you are today?
Well, the military definitely defined who I am today because I hear all the time how people say that you need to be really proud of the service that you had and it's helped define who you are. I can definitely say that it defined who I am because I went into it fully expecting to become this wonderful, outstanding, very proud Marine. And what had happened to me in the service was I didn't serve during the time that you did. There were no counselors for the things that I went through. There was no one there to support me when I fell down and had problems, where there was no one there to pick me up when I was dragged down literally. So I didn't get to spend my 20 years. I had to actually put myself out and give up on the dream that I had because there was no one there to stand up for me, to give me the help that I needed. When I went and asked for the help, I was told, there's nothing for you. That's what you females do. All you do is have problems. Just stand up and take it like a man. Get up and be like everybody else. I wasn't deployable because when I was in, it wasn't at a time that women were allowed to go fight. So I just had to stay there and push my pencil across and write the paper that they asked me to write for the little supply base I was at. Everywhere I went was a problem. Everywhere I tried to go was a problem. I was becoming more and more reclusive. I didn't want to be around anyone. So when they say that I should be proud, I am proud that I have that title. But it took me many, many years of being able to get out and be around a lot of veterans. Most of them were Vietnam veterans that I met on Veterans Day, going to Applebee's and sitting to have lunch because they would say, why are you sitting by yourself? So it took me a lot of time before I'd ever come in here and sit. And they said, sweetheart, doesn't matter how long you've been in. Some of us only served 1.5 years. Some of us only served 2 years. Get over here and have lunch with us. That made me finally find value in that and that I actually belonged. So that helped lift me up. But as more information has come out about support for us with our mental health, that is what has picked me up. That is what has encouraged me to speak to others about what we go through and not to be scared, to step out and say, I need help. Because I lived for too long being scared of being ashamed and being pushed down and isolating and giving up on any form of life that I had ever anticipated becoming. I wanted to get a degree. I wanted to be exactly like these other ladies and other gentlemen out there that have these huge careers. I said, I can't do it because I was terrified. So now that I'm finally getting the help and the assistance from the mental health providers that know what I'm going through and want to take the time to understand it, I feel like that I need to do the same for other people and help them find their way to these services. That's what got me.
That's beautiful. And sometimes it's not about the lesson that you're learning, but the test at the end is like, hey, can I step up? And thank you so much for doing that now. Like, it's incredible. All right, so ladies, what is a moment of resilience that you like to recognize as a collaborative effort? So a moment that you kind of felt pride in yourself and the people that you were around. So it could be in your military experience or just, as a woman in the workforce or in life, just a moment of resilience. Anyone want to start? I know you all are so resilient, so that's why I'm like, guys.
I will. So when I was doing case management, I worked at the Shakely Center for Youth. And that is a homeless shelter for young adults for ages 18 to 24. And this is when I was recently out of UC as a social worker. And I had a young lady who was in my shelter. She got kicked out of her home. I forget why, but she was pregnant, and her first child. I believe she was 19 at the time. A lot of times at the shelter, there were these young ladies and men. They just wanted to be handed apartment keys. They just wanted to be handed something. They didn't want to work for it. And I don't know if it was a generational thing, but they wanted a gift. They didn't want to do the work. This one young lady wanted the work. She wanted to do the work for herself. She wanted, Miss Jamie, how can I do this? Miss Jamie, how can I get a job? How can I, please show me, please take me, please, And I did, and she moved out very quickly. She got her apartment and she moved out very quickly, and I never heard from her again. So fast forward about like 5 years later, I'm in New York City on vacation, and I hear, Miss Jamie, is that you? And I turn around, and it's her. And she's got a 5-year-old little girl with her. And I'm like, oh my gosh, is that you? And it's in New York City, of all places. And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, are you living here? And she's like, no, I live in Cincinnati. And I'm like, how funny, I'm running into you in New York City, of all places. And I'm like, how you doing? And she's like, I'm doing great, and I'm pregnant again, and we're doing fabulous. I have my own house now, and this, that, and the other. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. And then, so we go about our business, and fast forward 3 years later, I'm at my job, and I hear Miss Jamie. And I turn around, and she's in scrubs, and I'm like, what are you doing here? And she's like, I work here. I was like, what? You work at the VA now? And she's like, I do. And I'm pregnant again, I had the baby, and she's showing pictures of the baby. And so she's got the now 8-year-old and the baby, and she's doing fantastic. And it was just a proud moment. It was just a very proud moment to know that that not just me and my team were able to, she took what we taught her and she ran with it, and she's just doing fantastic now. And I see her all the time at work now, and it's just great.
I love that. It's like a little check-in from.
Yeah, but to see her in New York City, I was just like, what? Of all places, in New York City, I run into this girl. So
Brings
yeah,
people together.
it was awesome.
That's amazing. And like using your lived experience to highlight that, like get through that with her.
Yeah, it was great.
Genuinely
It was
amazing.
great.
All right, Sharlene, you want to talk on?
Sure, I guess, like this is my resiliency.
Yeah, please, share your moment of resilience.
Being brought here, I had, like again, I said I struggled for so long, and finally being able to get the help that I needed, didn't recognize that I needed, I just thought there was something wrong with me. I finally had a therapist that was able to see really me, and she said, I know what can be done, I know what you can do that will help, and she said, I'm going to get you somewhere that I know that you will get better, that you'll find a way to overcome these fears and become better than what you are doing right now, because there's something inside of you that needs to be awakened again. So having somebody see me and understand the pain and the fear and just me shutting my lights out, getting me here was my moment.
We all hear you. Like I know some of us are here for loved ones, but like we hear you with empathy. Like know that. Beautiful. Thank you. All right, Corinne, you got a moment of resilience?
Yeah, so a lot of them, which is why I'm here today. But one of the moments that I took note of when it came down to this question was, I thought back to like when I was in basic training. At the time, the only thing we had was the bike test. We did not have a PT test. But we still had to run 2 miles in 20 minutes when it came down to like our passing our basic training tests, right? And so I remember there was this one girl, and she struggled with her run. Like, I am not a runner at any sense of the word, and she was a worser runner than me. So like bless her heart, she was struggled even more. And I remember that that when it came to, like, she had failed the test. Like at the point in time when she was like on her 7th lap, she had already failed. But the TI in his dress blues and his shiny patent leather chloroform shoes, whatever, ran that last lap with her, along with another TI, along with the other people. I wasn't going to be running anymore, but the people who had like finished 10 minutes beforehand, they all took up together and ran with her that last lap. And what I loved about that was, even though she failed, she didn't fail. So it showed that like she she went across that finish line, like tears, all the things. And, and I saw that the Air Force at that time with this person, like, literally helped her across that line, and so it reminded me years and years later when I ended up having like a really rare allergy that really screwed me up physically, and I had a PT test coming up, and I remember I was terrified that I was going to fail this PT test, and I barely passed the things, and at the time, like, you could still pass everything but still not pass, so you still had to get like above passing to pass. It was ridiculous. Anyways, I was pretty sure I was going to fail the run, and I remember my first sergeant was out there, and he ran that last lap with me, and that last lap that he ran with me helped me pass the test. And I know it sounds like so ridiculous to get like all like emotional verklempt about like this like moment in my life, but there were so many times in my career that I saw that people were literally dragged across lines as long, like, when they were showing that effort to do it. You know what I mean? Like, like they were like, oh, you're doing this, let's drag you across, even if it meant you failed, even if it meant like, you didn't get an A on whatever it might be. I saw it at recruiting school. We had people who were, yes, I was a recruiter. I'm sorry, don't throw anything at me. But I saw at recruiting school there was somebody who really was struggling at doing things, and we had two people, and myself and another person were asked to help them, and one person was like, I don't need your help, you're older than me, I'm older than you, I outrank you, I know more than you do, da da da. I was like, yeah, but like, we're passing and you're not, so like, and he just refused our help, but the other person wanted our help, and we helped him across the line. You could see the instructors helping him across the line, and I find that those moments were not necessarily rare, but they were rare enough that they were special, and they offered me such a sense of resilience and that camaraderie and that military family that's what kept me in for 21 years, was that feeling, right? And so like my heart goes out to you that like you didn't have that same type of reception, because you deserved that. And so
we hope we can. And we hope that we can offer a different sort of support here, but thank you so much for sharing that and just highlighting the little moments. I know I talk in my class about how much it means to just recognize a sunrise, or recognize like the beauty of the smallest things and camaraderie that comes out of it. So thank you for sharing that. All right. We did talk when we all first met, as women with a military background, how has that empowered you to be the inspirations you are today? This is more, I want to open the question up though to, you all have gone through, let me say, if I can say, trauma with the military experience. How has that altered your view on the world? How, like, whatever you're willing to go into, like, how has what you've gone through with the military, like, changed your perspective on life? So it's really, I know that we went into some things that were not empowering, but maybe you learned a different lesson or something like that.
That's a really hard question to answer, and mainly because of the fact that, like, I don't know what life was like outside of that. I was 19 when I joined. I was in my 40s when I got out, and then I went straight into school. I didn't really, but what I do know is that I think my final answer on this one was, if I can do it, then anybody can. I think about all the people that, like, when I was a recruiter and they were so afraid of going to basic training. I'm like, y'all, if I can make it through basic training, like, you can, And then I realized that I have had all these really difficult moments in my life, and I have gotten through them, which reminds me that I can do it, which means that others can do it, because if I can, you can. And like those difficult moments, you can get through them, and so that's what it kind of like. That's what it means to me. Yeah.
That's a beautiful resilience factor.
Yeah.
So thank you. And I know, and guys always know that in this building, whenever you're asked a question, it's what you're comfortable with. Not comfortable answering, that's fine too. But I just like to highlight, like, as women, like, you guys, I mean, as women, we're powerful anyway. But no, like with your history and the military experience, just how it's brought you to be the person you are today and your outlook on life. Does anyone else want to share on that?
Well, I was just gonna like piggyback on that a little bit, because like when I remember the day that I called my dad and I told him that I joined the Air Force. I told my mom was 100% supportive of me. She was like, "Oh yeah, that's badass. You got this. Like, cool." Called my dad. He said, "You won't make it through basic." He was not supportive at all. I was a cheerleader in high school. I had an attitude problem. He's like, "You won't make it through basic." I made it top third in my class, so.
What's up?
I made it top third in my class, so. But like, it definitely molded me into the person that I am today. It helped me to grow up, and I faced some things in the military that were unfortunate. I feel like being a female air crew member, because I was a load master on C-17s when I was in before I became an analyst. 2% of the Air Force are air crew members. Imagine how many of those are female. It's very small. I was often the only female on the crew. I was often told I couldn't do certain things. Oh, you're not strong enough. You know, you're not tough enough. You're not this. You're not that. Well, that just only tells me I'm gonna do it even harder. I'm gonna be even tougher, and I'm gonna show you what I can do. So it molded me into being a tough, stronger woman. And right now I'm raising twin 13-and-a-half-year-old girls, and my motivation is to show them, like, never let anybody tell you that you can't do something just because you're a woman. Never let anybody tell you that you can't do anything because of anything, because you're short, tall, skinny, fat. It doesn't matter. You can do, like she said, you can do it. It doesn't matter who you are, what you got going on, you can do it. And always have that faith in yourself. Just like I told my dad. And he didn't come to my graduation. My mom was there, but my dad didn't come. Probably because he felt silly. But
well,
I showed him.
Pride.
I showed you, Dad.
Beautiful, beautiful. Alright, now come. You want to
That's all I
continue?
do is say stuff to make people feel sad.
No, you're.
No.
I didn't have. I grew up in a very broken home. My father was a Vietnam veteran. They divorced because of his issues when he returned. I was 2 when they divorced, so my mother had to raise us on her own. Whatever she dealt with because of that made her move out and leave when I was 12. So I started working when I was 12 years old. I did that until I was 16, and they found out that myself and my younger brother were alone, and I managed to do everything pretty good for that amount of time. When that happened, I had to take off and go. So I wound up staying with my grandmother, and I lived in Virginia, and then I wound up staying with my grandmother in North Carolina. Took care of her for my senior year, and how I became a Marine was my best friend in high school there was the exchange student from Holland, and she wanted an American flag, and it was sitting on the table at the recruiter's table. So we were standing there, and she was about to ask for one, and a couple of the guys walked up and said, "What are y'all doing standing at this recruiter's table?" And I said, "She wants a flag." He goes, "Yeah, because you know you could never be a Marine." And I said, "Watch me." And they both signed up, and neither of them made it through boot camp. So I did.
There you go.
Yeah.
Can we say this?
There you go.
Amazing.
I love that.
That's a great, like, sometimes though, it's the people that doubt you, like all the stories said, it's the people that doubt you that push you to be better, and it creates a great person out of you guys, so. Alright, let's see. Alright, what do you think can be done for a more inclusive nature when supporting veterans in their mental health recovery journey? So, is this question for me to help? No. And so genuinely, like, how can we better support the community, the veteran community specifically? So I know we talked a lot, you guys mentioned a lot about empathy and like working with people that know exactly where you're at. Coming from an outside perspective, what can we understand better, whether it's a loved one or someone who works in the mental health care field?
Listen. And I mean, coming from honestly both ends, being a veteran and working in the veteran community, um, veterans have a lot of things to say, a lot of stories to tell, whether they want to tell them or not. If they want to, listen. Just listen. A lot of times, doctors and I don't want to say really therapists, but a lot of doctors just think medicine is the way to go, and just throwing pills at people, and that's not it. That's not. I mean, does it help? Yeah, sometimes, but listening and being, like you said, empathetic, listening. Let us get it. Let us get it out. Let us get it out. Just let us talk. Let us get it out. Maybe some more group events where we can bring more veterans together, being around each other, and like, cause I know like you can connect. You connect. Veterans connect.
Yeah.
You know, when I see a veteran out in public, if they're wearing their hat, like I see that Vietnam veteran hat right there. Yeah, I see it. I see it. I would say welcome home, and they would be like, thank you. Like whether or not they know I'm in the military or not, when I see somebody wearing anything military apparel, I say something, and you know, it's just that connection. And you know, just being at the VA, I have that connection, and I feel at home. So more veteran group activities in the community. I think that would be beneficial.
Noted.
Yeah,
All right, thank you. Yeah. Corinne, do you have anything specific?
Yeah, so mine's a little bit more macro level, so high, so more overarching level. But when I was doing my studies, what I noticed is that there was a lot of studies on male veterans. Veterans, for one, are studied a lot and experimented on a lot. But there was very little female-oriented research being done, especially even when it came down to like military sexual trauma. There was very little female veteran research done on it. And so that's what I would say it needs to be done more, is more research, more documentation, more awareness of the fact that like we might be, we might wear the same clothes, we might do the same job, we might get the same pay, but just like every minority, we are different. Our backgrounds bring us into this environment, and we all experience it differently. And so I think it's important that we don't just, and this is no disrespect, so don't but to not just research men and particularly white men's experiences in the military, but research everyone's experiences in the military and be a little bit more inclusive in that way. So that's what I would
beautiful
say.
verbiage, yeah. And for the sake of like research, I think it was not until the 90s that women started participating in research studies in general. So
In general,
who knows when that happened? Yeah.
correct.
So
In general.
more research all around. Love it. Yeah, that's a
right.
great answer. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have anything that you can think that would bring a more inclusive nature to the military for women?
Well, for women, for all veterans of that, being the fact that, like I mentioned before, I'm currently going through treatment at a center, and it makes me sad to see civilian life, the way that we are ostracized, the way that people look at us and shun when they know that we are dealing with different things. When you wear your caps, where you've served, what war you were in, or whatever. With us at the domiciliary, we wear a tag, and if goodness forbid that you walk around and forget to take it off, the minute that they catch that, you get that, oh, let me walk on the other side of the street, let me get away from you. There's nothing wrong with us. We are just having things that we're dealing with, and so many people see us as something defective. You can't be near me. I don't want my children near you. I don't want you to be around. There needs to be something to help everyone understand. So many people have mental illness. So many people have needs. They're just afraid to admit them. They're just afraid to come out with them. So much of that is handled behind closed doors. So those of us that actually do have the ability to stand up, it took me a long time. It took me a very long time, and I lost a lot of good years of my life. Fortunately for me, I was able to develop a business for myself so I could be home and reclusive with my children around a daycare. So I kind of gave myself that space, but it wasn't helpful. It didn't help me at all. And I was embarrassed to tell people that I was having problems. So I drank so I could be social. So if more people could, not just the veterans, but if more people could understand and learn more about what we need as people in general, and stop making it some kind of a contagious thing that if I talk to you, I'm going to catch it. That's what I think would help with the inclusiveness, because we all need it.
True.
No, yes, thank you. And you guys starting the conversation today is a huge step, so thank you for that. Thank you for what you do. All right, so last question. What is one piece of advice from someone in your life that has stayed with you? Kind of close to your heart. Yes, Sharlene?
My very best friend that I hardly ever get to see, but we've stayed in touch every single day since we served together back in 1991. She sends me messages every day, and I send her messages, and we send cards, and we call each other. But the one thing she told me many years ago was, "You are more than what happened to you." And that sticks.
Yes.
Because every time something doesn't feel right, I remember those words. You are more than what happened to you. So that brings me up.
Beautiful. Jamie, you got a quote?
So I've had ever since my mom passed, that was like a big thing in my life. She was my best friend. And she used to tell me that tomorrow is a new day. And that yesterday is gone, focus on tomorrow, not the next day, not next week, just tomorrow. If today is a bad day, try again tomorrow, and that you're the reason that someone smiles. So.
Oh my gosh, what you guys said was so inspiring, and mine is not at all. So it's not necessarily advice as much as it's just kind of like a mantra that I live by. I don't even want to put this on camera. So it is, I don't know if some of you all might know, but like there's, most people should know, a rap artist out there called Jay-Z, right? And in one of his songs, he says, "What you eat don't make me poop," right? And that kind of just, there's another one that's got way more swear words in it, so we won't use that one. But basically, what it means to me, like, what you eat don't make me poop, means like, you know, like what I'm, how do I, oh my gosh, now I'm nervous because they're so, but it's a reminder that I don't live the lives of others, and others don't live the life of me. And so, you know, when you're a recruiter, when you're a therapist, when you're an intern therapist is what I was, and you're giving people your words of wisdoms or help guiding them to where, you know, like, hey, there's a path down here. Whether they choose to go there or not is their decision and not yours. And I think it's really important that so often we put so much weight into what others are doing that we wouldn't do. And I'm
about your voice, your choice.
correct, right? And so I'm such a collaborative person. I'm such an inclusive person. Like, that's my vibe. It's like, everybody come join, like, come on over here. That when I have these moments in my life where I get angry at a group of people, or angry at this or angry at that, I have to constantly remind myself that what they eat don't make me poop, and what I eat don't make them poop. And I need to remember that line and have, like, you know, to put it bluntly, have more respect for other people's opinions, even if I don't agree with them. And that's sometimes really hard to do, but that's kind of like the mantra that I'm trying to do my best to live by. It was a lot easier when it came down to other things, but yeah, you know, that's kind of
Focus on you.
focus on you, yeah.
My mom always said, you can't take care of anyone else until you take care of yourself. So
Yeah,
True.
right?
make sure you go take care of yourself. She's like,
Yeah. Like, my
Sure.
favorite place to go for Veterans Day is Golden Corral. Like, I've like missed a year like once in the last 10 years. Like, it's the only time I ever go to Golden Corral is at Veterans Day, right? And I always think about the fact that, like, imagine going to Golden Corral with your plate of food and somebody comes over and says, you can't eat that, you know, or you should have to eat this. Like, you're like, whoa, this is like my plate. I created this myself. This is my plate. And then somebody comes over and takes something from it or puts something on it that you didn't want. And, you know, I think it's really important to, like, kind of remember that not everybody wants what's on your plate, and you know, don't take things off other people's plates.
Sure. Sure.
Thank you guys, and I like when people try to explain rap lyrics because it's like it makes sense, I promise, but it doesn't in out of context.
I'm like,
I love that you quoted Jay-Z.
But genuinely, I just wanted to say thank you guys so much. Can we give a round of applause, guys? Thank you. And there are resources in the back. I can grab you a snack if anyone's hungry. I forgot to pull the snack card out. But guys, thank you all for coming and just being a part of the conversation. It really means a lot to us, and I think that's a wrap for this. So thank you guys. All right.
Thank you.
you didn't want to open up for questions?
What's it? Oh yeah. Do we have any questions? Thank you. I'm sorry.
No.
Come on, give me a question. Give us something. Anyone? Anyone?
No, you cannot borrow.
Yes.
a
I have a question. So it seems like you all are working or trying to get your foot in the door in the mental health field, or have worked in the mental health field previously. And so I would just love to know from your personal experience what you have thought has been the most helpful for the people that you have helped through your lived experience. So what part of your lived experience have you used the most to help others?
Ooh, good question.
I mean, like all the things that I have seen and been through, or I've had friends go through and saw what happened to them. You know, when I was doing my intern, I mean, there was very few moments where I was like, I haven't seen this problem before. And also, I mean, I found that when I had clients that were veterans, that the moment I opened, I mean, normally you're not supposed to self-disclose, blah, blah, blah. There's controversy over whether, you know, how much you do. And so eventually when I would self-disclose that I was a veteran also, their therapy, like, just went through the roof because because I got it. You know, the things they were talking about, you know, I would sit there and nod my head and they're like, this chick doesn't know what she's talking about. She has no idea what I'm talking about. And inside I'm like, yes, I do, you know? And the moment that I was able to reveal that, I mean, I just saw that their treatment just like went better. Because,
And I love that because that's the true power of peer support.
Yeah.
Right there is
Right.
exactly the beauty of peer support, and why peer support works so well is driven by that lived experience of knowing, like, I see you where you're at and I'm meeting you where you're at.
Correct.
Mhm.
Yeah, I love that.
Right,
Yeah.
right, yeah, true. With my clients at the shelter that were 18 and 24 years, so when I got out of the military, I was 29, and by the time I was working at the shelter, I was about 34, 35-ish, and my clients were 18 and 24 years old. So there's a little bit of an age gap, but not too bad. And with them, I would try to get on their level, and I would like find something we had in common, because I wanted them to know they could trust me.
Yeah.
And I would find something that we would have in common. One of my clients, he was an up and coming rapper, and he said, Ms. Jamie, I want you to come to my show. I was like, you have a show? Where's your show at? And he told me where his show was at, and I showed up. I went to his show. Well, somebody else invited me to a party. I was like, I can't go to your party. Like, I have little kids at home. I'm not. He's like, bring the kids. I'm like, I'm not bringing my kids to your party. Like, I'm not going to a party. But I showed up to his show, and that meant a lot to him. And I would see him out and about, and we would talk and stuff. But just getting on their level and letting them know, like, I do truly care about you as a person, and I'm going to do my best to help you. But you have to want to help yourself too. As long as you want to help yourself, I'm here for you, 100%. But I can't do all the work.
Yeah.
And I'd be 100% honest with them too about that. I wouldn't just fake the funk and be like, yeah, whatever. No, we're gonna do this together.
I love that. That's the empowering
Yeah.
versus enabling.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
Exactly.
love that.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
Anything that you'd like to share?
The only thing I can say about me is that I've always been one to look after other people. So
It sounds like
if
it,
there's
yeah.
something that I can share with any other person, I'm open to doing that within reason.
Yeah.
Like where I'm at, for instance, there's a lot of people that come in. This is my first experience with anything like this type of care and this type of opportunity.
Yeah.
So when I see people come in that haven't been there, because it was terrifying for me when I showed up. I did not have a clue what was going on. I wouldn't say that it's like going into basic training, but it was kind of like just being thrown into something similar to that, but they weren't yelling and screaming at me. But when people come in and they don't know where things are, or they're missing something, or they need something, because you got people from all walks, I'm really quick to be there. Do you need anything? Can I help you with anything? If you can't find something, let me know. checking to make sure that they're up and don't miss their meals, making sure that they can get to classes, making sure if they need transportation, I can tell them. That's just who I am, because I know what it's like not to have that. So I try to be there. When they're struggling, I always ask, are you okay? Do you need someone to talk to? I just want to be there for people. And that's really all that I have that I can give.
That's amazing.
That's a lot.
That's a
That's a
lot.
lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
And like, can I say just I called it our adventure when we went to do VA outreach because I'm a professional. But our adventure, like when we just sitting and talking and discussing like life and your history and my history, like it was incredible. And you are there helping people. Like it's so much. Like just that day alone, I remember. So thank you. I remember that
You're
too.
amazing.
Isn't
See,
she?
you say that means a lot.
You are,
But
Caitlin.
genuinely, does anyone have an open discussion? Like, do you guys have any questions? And if you don't want to ask in front of everyone, you can always just come up and talk to us. But all right, we good?
Awesome.
All right, thank you
Yeah.
guys so much. Yeah.
For what you have already said about, that's the way that I feel about the recovery center when I came here. That I came from Central Clinic to come over here, and I've been over here ever since because they had a book and they were doing it within a class, Purpose of a Driven Life by Rick Warren, and we did that in our Sunday school class at church the whole 40 weeks, and I really enjoyed it. And so I came over here, been over here ever since, but what kept me here is the people that were here, starting with the staff, the director, and everybody welcomed me and showed me that, yes, you don't have to be quiet. You can come out of your shell and talk to people. And then I started doing groups and everything, and participating, and that's the biggest thing when you participate and feel the joy within other people's spirits around you, helps you to make it. And this is my second home, and the people here are like my extended family.
Yes.
And we love you,
Oh,
Miss
that's
Virginia.
beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. Very
Beautiful.
inspiring.
Yes.
Thank you.
Appreciate all you've done.
Thank you.
And I do have a question, just as a general discussion. So, people have different opinions when you say thank you for your service. What is your opinion / is it okay if I usually just say thank you for being you? Because I hope that they understand, like, maybe looking at the hat or something, but, like, how do you guys feel about thank you for your service?
Personally, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I appreciate.
No, just
yeah.
because that's the one thing, I'm that person that also, like, when I was working in restaurants, I saw someone with a hat, I walked up immediately, thank you for your service. So I just always like to check in where people are at, with just addressing, like, our appreciation.
Yeah, no, I personally, I appreciate it.
I mean, there's always that joke, like somebody says, thank you for your service, and you're like, you're welcome for my service. You know? Like, is there a 10% discount?
Right. Is there a discount?
You know? Yeah, I mean, you know, being thanked for what you've done to give back. I think it depends on the day, you know, it depends on what, you know, sometimes I'm like, all I did was sit behind a desk. You know, I didn't really do anything. I just reset some passwords and, you know, installed some software and hardware every once in a while, but I don't feel like I'm like, what did I do? You know? And because I think about the people who are, you know, out there kicking in doors and doing things that, like, I mean, just Marine basic training by itself.
Right.
Thank you
Badass.
for your service.
Like everyone steps
you know,
back from
right.
Charlene a little
Yeah,
bit,
right. Like,
She badass.
you know, so I guess it just really depends, you know. But at the end of the day, you know, their intent is to thank you. They don't know anything about you. All they know is that you served, and that's where you have that appreciation for the fact, like, oh, you know, you're welcome, or thank you for that. You know, I guess depends on the situation, you know. Yeah, but normally just thank you.
It's nice to be thanked and not when, cause like one time I was pumping gas and I have Air Force plates on my car. I was pumping gas and somebody came up and said, "Oh, tell your husband thanks for his service." And I was like, "Will do. He didn't serve. I did. Thank you." Yeah, like totally assumed it wasn't me, and I was just like, "Wow, okay." And I corrected him, and he felt like an idiot, but I was like. So those times I'm like, wow, cool, we're still in that, okay, but yeah, and there was no guy in my car. It was just me by myself pumping gas, but it's cool. How do you feel about it?
I just don't know what to say back to when they say it.
Yeah, it is
Thank you for
awkward.
thanking me.
Yeah, right. Like,
I did
thanks.
have a lady at the grocery store, I don't know how she knew because I didn't have any stickers on the car that I was driving, but I walked out with my groceries and she was finishing loading hers and she said, "Excuse me, can I stop you for a second?" I was like, "Yes, ma'am." And she gave me a t-shirt. It was an army green colored t-shirt and she said, "I really thought you should have this. I knew that you would enjoy it." And I opened it up and it says, "I'm the veteran, not my husband."
You didn't have anything on your car?
Nothing at all.
What?
And I was already divorced, but still I wore it anyway. I love it. Yeah, it was perfect. So that was great recognition right there.
There's
My
a
stuff is plastered with
t-shirt.
Marine Corps stuff on
Is
it.
it now?
She's the Marine. It doesn't say
Yes.
Marine Corps veteran only. It says she's the Marine.
I love that. I love that. There's a t-shirt I saw on Facebook for sale. It says "Beauty brings in the DD 214." And I was like, yes.
Care to explain DD 214?
I guess you wouldn't
Yeah.
get that. So it's basically what you get when you separate from the military. It's like
It's a piece of paper.
it's just a piece of paper that has all your information on it, like your awards that you got and where you were and.
Yeah.
I'm
all
still
the
learning
basic-
terminology.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but your basic stuff. I can show you what it looks like when
Yeah.
you come to my office. I have it at my office.
We'll have to have another hour and a half
Personal.
meeting.
Yes,
But-
that was only supposed to be 5 minutes long.
Right.
That was
But-
great though.
Yes. Anyway, thank you guys again, and we'll just kind of
Yes.
wrap up. If you guys, please grab. I printed out a ton of resources, so one of everything if you need it. But thank you guys so much.
Thank you,
Thank
Caitlin.
you.